Guest rooms generate so many complaints. Tech is such a supporter of design.
Real pain points for the hospitality and for the hoteliers. We don't give the guests the best experience.
Many people wouldn't connect lighting design and guest room technology.
The key card. I don't know why we still are putting key cards into guest rooms.
Well, hello and thanks for joining us. My name's David Skelly. I'm a lighting designer and my company, DJ Coalition, has been designing hotels and hotel guest rooms for more than 30 years. One of the things that we hear often from operators and owners is the amount of complaints they get from guests staying in their rooms. You know, it's a thing that lighting designers really need to focus on, and it's why today I've brought my good friend and industry consultant along, Mr. Silvio Reale. Silvio, welcome.
Thanks, David. And it's really great to be here today to share my knowledge and the know-how in guest room management technology. Now, today, I see myself as the godfather of this industry for this region, bringing new technology into this space. So I'm looking forward to discussing with you, David, the do's and don'ts and how we can improve the overall guest experience in the hospitality industry.
And before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to EGRMS here in Bangkok. They've kindly donated their facilities to allow us to shoot the video here today with them. Thank you, EGRMS.
Even after all the hard work that your team does and my team would do, it seems still to go wrong.
That's the key, I think, the guest room experience, Silvio. You know, many people wouldn't connect lighting design and guest room technology, but the two are really important in terms of generating kind of a wow experience. Tech is such a supporter of design, Silvio. I'm sure you would agree.
It encompasses that whole guest experience. What we, as either manufacturers or designers, we try to create the guest experience and make it easy for the guests. Somehow this user experience doesn't end up delivered in the guest room. And that's what I think we're going to talk about today. And lighting is a very important part of this. As I see it, it's the wow. When you walk into the room, that lighting should be, wow, look where I've arrived. The air conditioning should be already on and the room should be super cool, or at least at a comfortable set point, at a comfortable level. Anyhow, I think as we go through this, I really would like to dig a little bit deeper on how we can improve this process, how we can take the designs that DJ Coalition does and deliver that strategy or that outcome using technology. And technology today is simple. It actually has been simple for quite a long time. Unfortunately, there are multiple other manufacturers out there that make it a bit hard to accomplish those things. And we'll cover that also today.
So I think it would be great. Maybe we should jump into some do's and don'ts, Silvio. I mean, I guess we've all stayed in rooms where it's difficult to turn lights on and off.
As I say, you know, it's sometimes a treasure hunt to find that off switch. And there's a comedian that does a very good comedian play out of this. I can't remember his name right now, but the do's and don'ts. So in fact, in association with Terence Ronson, who's the principal behind Pertlick and also was recently admitted into the Global Hall of Fame, we wrote a paper called The Do's and Don'ts of Guest Room Technology. And I'm just going to pick on three. I think lighting is very important. The key card. I don't know why we still are putting key cards into guest rooms. Energy management. I think everyone wants to be energy efficient. Everyone would like their rooms to be more sustainable. We can do a lot more there. And a whole bunch of other things that make that. But let's take those three things. So lighting. David, you design, I've seen many of your designs. You do some amazing jobs. how do you feel technology can help enhance your design?
Yeah, nobody likes to walk into a dark room. The great thing about technology is that the room knows you're coming, right? The room knows you're at the door. When the door opens, the lights come on to a preset welcome scene. And that welcome scene can be programmed to the time of day or the evening or the night. So that first experience of a guest walking into the room is so important. With technology, we can program a great welcome for the guest. Immediately, they feel they've arrived somewhere quite special. That's the first thing to get right, I think.
And to get that right, it's a very simple hardware item that gets that right. It's called a door switch. And in the previous years, the key card was that. But you always walked into a room and the room was dark. You put your key card in and bang, you heard the clunk of the relay, and the lights would come on, the air conditioning would come on, etc. But today, using a simple door switch connected to a guest room management system, or just a door switch connected to some relay logic, gives you that welcome effect. We've taken technology a little bit further now, because now the door lock is today very intelligent. So the door lock also is an event-driven device that says, okay, it's the guest first entry. I need to prepare my welcome scene. And it's evening, so it's going to prepare a night welcome scene. So the lights are not going to be on at 100% as you would design, and we can talk about that later. But that door lock will then start that event and give that first welcome, which would also extend to the television already being on, the curtains being drawn, particularly if you're arriving, into a resort and you've got a magic view of the pool and the seaside. You can just imagine that you've just come off a long haul flight. You walk into your room, the curtains are already drawn, bang, you've got that magic view. So, technology such as a guest room management system makes this all happen.
I'm sure none of us have ever left the key card in the key slot. So the other really important thing is going to bed at night. Usually you're tired, often jet lagged. The last thing you need to do is hunt around how to turn the lights off. I think, in our design and the use of switching and the design of switching, a lot of time goes into making it simple. Finding the off button and having the off button turn everything off. I think that's really key.
I think we all have this experience of hunting around the room to switch the light off. I recently met a guest who said, I had to sleep the entire night with that light on because I couldn't find the off switch. And again, I think this is probably an M&E issue. I'd like to say from now on, it's in the do's and don'ts, there should be a good night button. And that good night button needs to be easy, accessible from the bed. Now, again, the bed. Sometimes beds today are not necessarily easy to get in and out of. So having a switch that switches everything off and says good night is important. That means that we just have to think a little bit about standing lamps, where they are, how they're controlled. Today, the traditional approach is you have a nice lamp, it's behind a sofa or behind a particular chair, it's plugged into the wall, and to switch it off, you need to reassign all the furniture. So we should stop that and just bring all of the, and I think there's a cost saving in doing that as well, because if you hardwire these lamps into the system, then you have that great experience of switching all the lights off.
So that good night scene or that last button, that's kind of like a master, right?
It's a master. So when you have a guest room management system, the logic basically says, okay, I'm going to bed. Now, this is how I would like to see, or I would propose that good night button. When I go to bed, there should be a nice design, or let me say, you give me the right word, but the light should go off in a nice way. If you've got dimming, you have a nice fade, that's the right way, fade out of the lighting. And on top of that, night light should come on, because you go to bed and generally it's dark in the room, apart from all those other little lights that are shining at you. But you should know also where the night light is. And I think this is another important thing. From a sequence, whether you have the master as the first button and the night light as the second, maybe you switch those around, because the last thing you want to do is you get out of bed and you switch all the lights on as such. But yes, that's what it's for, so that you don't have to get out of the bed, go to the bathroom, switch off the bathroom light, move the furniture around, switch off the lamps. That shouldn't happen today. Unfortunately, it still does happen in many hotels, and it's something that's missed.
Yeah, the night lighting scene is super important, because sadly many of us do get up in the middle of the night. And it's something that we've also taken into our other projects. In residential work, for example, having a night function that can either be turned on or automatically comes on with sensors is just a great feature for a bedroom.
Let's not forget that today a guest room management system isn't an intelligent piece of equipment. It's not, it can be programmed, and if you choose the right manufacturer, you have lots of flexibility. So if it is night, the system knows it is night. If it is day, it knows that it's day. Now, you may have the curtains drawn. You might be a flight crew, or maybe you want to have a day nap, but you can still program the logic on how the lighting will work. Nightlight, very, very important. But let me add to this. I also think when it comes to the touch points that the guest needs to interact with, this should be clearly backlit. Now, backlighting is something that we again ignore. There actually isn't a huge incremental cost to have the backlighting. Most of the guest room management systems that are available today support backlighting. The touch points, I'm talking about the switches, the panels that go on the wall. When you have very large icons, when they're well lit, then it's easy for the guests to identify. No guest has time to really look, and I don't think many guests look at the icon. If they see something there at the start, that's what they'll learn, that this is the button that we need to use to bring the night light on. Let's not forget, guests are there to enjoy, to have a great evening or a rest. They're not there to learn about the technology in the room.
Right. I think this is the thing, right? In the middle of the night, I can never find my glasses. So turning a light on and off can be difficult. Icons are fantastic. We would always suggest in our designs that we use icons rather than language. And also, of course, they have that benefit of being cross-cultural, right? They're not in one language. We also, backlighting, absolutely essential. And if you can get a system that has a proximity sensor in the switch, the backlighting only comes on when you come near to the switch. This
is a very good point, because there are many guests who get disturbed by lights. And today, again, certain manufacturers have that sort of ability, that not only do the panels go to sleep, but you can also decide on the intensity of that light. Now, these are all small things, but if you actually ask the manufacturers, they'll all say yes, because that's the way it is. But then when you put them to the test, it's not necessarily the case. But yeah, being able to have the lighting all go off, being able to have the intensity of the LED or the backlighting controlled. And one other new point is the panel itself being a night light. This is something that's, again, maybe not considered. Not everyone can do it, but you also can use today the panel itself to give you the runway to the bathroom, or to at least light up the path. I think you would agree, at night, we as humans don't need a lot of light. So just having a certain lux level being emitted from an existing panel, which could be a thermostat, it could be a light switch, that contributes to the let me say, the walkway to wherever, to the bathroom where everyone generally goes.
Yeah, many of our projects, the project team and the owner team ask exactly about that, about project costs. Anything that can reduce the cost is great. I love it when we can convince our clients to use smart systems, because the sensors can really simplify the design. The smart sensor knows what time it is, as Silvio's been talking about, knows whether it's day or night, knows whether you're waking up or have been asleep. It knows where the people are in the room. So you can really simplify the lighting design, reduce the number of light fixtures, and rely on the tech to do the control and get the lighting right.
That's correct, David. And let me add to that. Today, technology is also allowing you to meet those goals by using bus technology. All right. So we've just spent probably the last 10 minutes or so talking about light switches. So light switches should be on a bus. And this is something that I'm really going to push hard in let's say, in this next journey. We really can do away with all these CAD5s going to the back of the panels. And I say, let's stop this, because that's where the problems will happen. Every termination is a potential problem failure. But let me segue this into how we can make lighting more effective. First up, I think we always should consider an open lighting technology or an open technology. One of them is DALI. Now, it's good to see, I've seen a lot of RFPs come out recently with designers using DALI. I know your team is very DALI focused, but DALI gives you a lot of flexibility to either have a light that's on or off, or a light to be dimmed. It also gives you data, so you know whether the light is like the luminaire is not working. It also can have, depending on the device, it's also an energy measurement tool, so it knows how much power is being used by that circuit. But the big key benefit is that you've just got one cable, which is power and data, up in the ceiling, and not home runs for every circuit. So tremendous amount of cost saving there. And the cost of the actual DALI ballast, I believe, has come down a lot. That I would say is probably cost neutral when it comes to, say, 0 to 10 dimming. If anything, DALI would be less expensive today in the overall scheme of things. Yeah,
that's our experience. DALI has come down, cost has come down a lot. Look, it does depend on what market you're in. Some countries still have protective tariffs on DALI gear. But most of the places we work in now, the costs of DALI gear has come down to be comparable with other dimming control gear. But the huge benefit is the drop in cable, and that's PVC, which is not good for the planet, and copper. So drop in cable and drop in the amount of labor that's required to install. So, and I'm very happy to share this if any of you would like to contact us. We've got analysis showing that DALI dimming systems, that open bus system, will actually save money. It's cheaper than the conventional dimming system with wires running everywhere in the ceiling.
I would say if you're considering dimming, then DALI's the way to go. Forget about 0 to 10 or even phase dimming. Now, there will be some lamps that DALI doesn't support. I doubt that there are too many that it doesn't. But today, going forward, if you're building or designing a hotel today, it won't open for another 3 or 4 years. So please consider a technology for lighting like DALI, because you can be very flexible, even inside the guest room. When it comes to the mock-up phase, with a software tool that, and again, it depends from manufacturer to manufacturer, but certainly the company I'm associated with, we have an integrated tool, so it's very easy to change the groupings, to change the dimming settings. It's in real time. It's none of this. Also, one of the drawbacks of DALI in the past was that you needed a special programmer, you needed to have a number of different tools. That's all gone. Well, it should be for most manufacturers, but it would definitely gives you the ability to do more. And that leads me into, it also creates a more sustainable guest room. You know, we don't have in this forum today an architect or an interior designer, but at the end, I think we all have this goal to build a more sustainable hotel. Lighting design, guest room automation makes that room super sustainable by managing energy, managing lighting, managing the access control, providing information to back of house, front of house on workflows so that you can operate a hotel as efficient as possible. And today, we've also gone one step closer to being very sustainable in that now there are guest room management systems that are measuring the energy consumption in real time per guest day. And this is something very new in the industry. You know, all of the existing systems have some energy management algorithm or some energy management function. However, the next generation platforms that have been launched have this ability to measure in real time the energy consumed or the energy saved per guest day. And it also gives an indication to the hotel or to the guest how much CO2 has been saved during that guest stay. And in the big scheme of things, it generates a carbon credit, which is another subject that we can have in another session. But again, this is how a guest room management system platform can make the room more sustainable.
Now that's pretty interesting, actually measuring the energy savings as you're going along. I don't think there's been many systems being able to do that in the past. We all talk about sustainability because it's not only a project requirement, it's actually just a living requirement, right? We all need to be more sustainable. Being able to measure the savings as you go along, Silvio, that's a big leap forward.
I think this is now a must-have. Now, you know, a plug for the associated company I work for. TRUSTECH is the first company that's been able to bring this to market where we can measure for the first time the energy savings and the CO2 savings as well. So this is something new. It's just, again, technology moving, and by putting a meter in the room and having a very smart algorithm, machine learning, you're able to do all of these computations to give you this real-time data. And I believe that guests in the future, if not even today, will demand this type of data. They will react to hotels that are more sustainable, that are making the effort to be more energy efficient. I noticed recently, because my bookings are made in Europe, that I actually get in the bottom of my statement the amount of CO2 that I've created by taking this flight from point A to point B. So this will become part of our life. But for the first time, now there's a technology and a platform that can give you that data in real time. So it's, to me, I would say it's a must-have, not a nice-to-have anymore, because we need to make our planet more efficient, more sustainable. And when it comes to a hotel, the hotel guest room is the biggest use of energy, and hotels are a large contributor to carbon emissions, and buildings are in general. So as an industry, we really need to improve on this.
And you can imagine all sorts of other benefits that could come from the system, like a sort of go green sign-in program for guests.
Yeah.
Right. So there's having the technology in the room and the ability to measure these savings, you can actually spin that for more business.
Yeah, it's actually something that TRUSTECH has thought of, and we've created an algorithm called Eco Check-in, and we've also created a small cartoon called the Eco Hero, Become an Eco Hero Today. But the Eco Check-in process allows you as a guest, as part of the guest engagement process, it says, would you like to opt into this program? This just means now that the system manages the comfort level in the room. We're not going to make it too hot or too cold for you, but we're going to manage the energy. The system will need to do that. You still have the ability to switch the system on and off and change the fan speed. But as far as the set point level, let me say the comfort level, the system will manage that. And it's able to do that very effectively. The key point is that it's now real-time data to the hotel. The guest, of course, gets rewarded. The guest can be rewarded by extra loyalty points, could be rewarded by an extended stay at the hotel. It's endless. I know it's something that we've talked about with the catering group here, how we can engage guests more to be more sustainable, and now we've got a system that's able to do that.
So all of these wonderful benefits, what are the things that we need to put into rooms to make that smart system? Silvio, you've talked a little bit about door lock or the door sensor at the entry point. There's also the important positioning of sensors inside the room.
That's correct. So, the entrance to the room is the first gate or the first event. Now, that can be done through a smart door lock, or it can be done through a simple door contact. Now, to manage energy, again, we manage energy when the room is unoccupied. And that's a significant amount of time of the day. It can be anywhere between 6 and 12 hours a day. So in order to detect that there is no presence inside the room, we use motion sensors. And sometimes depending on the room design, we put one in the bathroom, we put one in the in the bedroom area or the living area. And this is a very smart sensor that's using body heat, using motion, and we also can, using a multi-sensor, also detect various other parameters that tell us, is there someone in the guest room or not? When there isn't anyone on the guest room, we do our magic by reducing the energy or the energy usage by raising the set point, or as we say, doing a temperature offset. So the first control point is the AC, and the sensors today are very accurate, so we don't have any false alarms. The worst thing that can happen is that the guest crawls out under the bed, because that's where they were, and the air conditioning just goes back to normal. So there's no real impact on the guest.
And also we've worked on projects where that smart system can be extended into the hotel management system, or even the lift car system. So the room knows when you present your key card at the lift, so the aircon can ramp up.
Yes.
And chill that room quickly, so when you arrive it's just perfect.
Correct. So something that I'd like to say that I maybe kicked off in this region, we called it super cool, fast cool, pre-cool, but it's exactly that. It actually happens at check-in. So on check-in, that's when the room says, I've got a guest coming and I'm going to super cool the room. And in some cases, the fan call units are so well sized that they can bring the set point of a room from 28 degrees down to 22 degrees or 25 degrees to 22 or 22 and a half, which is generally the comfort level that's used in hotel rooms, within 1.5 to 2 minutes. So that's more than enough time for, by the time you check in to get to the room, to make that room super cool. So as we said earlier at the start, you never want to walk into a dark room. You never want to walk into a very hot room. Or a humid room. And again, pre-cool or logic allows you to do that. You can use the lift cart as another way. And I should say, this segue in, all of this tech that we've talked about today is also available in a retrofit application as well. That was something that was kind of limited, what you could do, but everything that we've talked about so far, we can also apply in an existing hotel without doing a forklift upgrade, removing everything that's there, but adding certain sensors, adding certain gateways or controllers. We now can apply this control methodology to be more energy efficient.
That's great. And linking the guest room management system, the guest room tech, with the PMS is also important, right?
That's, I think, it is a must-have. Not all systems can do that, and that's what happens in many projects that I've seen, that you know, all the supplier or whoever ticks the box, but you know, they get into the project later and they find out that, you know, today security is a big thing. So to connect to a property management system is not as simple as just putting a cable between two systems or writing some software. It needs to go through a proper security assessment. But most of the international manufacturers today do have integration with a property management system. And again, I think this is a must-have with you know, when you're selecting a Guestroom management system.
Lots of benefits there for hotel owners and hotel operators. And one of the things I think is really nice, and I've come across this quite by accident in some of the hotels that I stay in, is that my preferences are remembered. They remember who I am, they remember the food I like. Management systems can also help with this, right? Management systems can remember, they're collecting data, so they can remember the temperature that you had in the room.
Yeah, today we can log all of that and have it stored somewhere. There are committees working on this subject globally today. And why I mean by that is, wouldn't it be nice, irrespective of which hotel brand, that if David Skelly checked into Hotel A today and Hotel B today, that those preferences would move that. We're not there yet. The industry is definitely thinking about it. The technology is there, and it's certainly available today if you stay within a hotel chain. If you stay within a hotel chain, those preferences can be moved. But that's where ultimately all of these systems, and let me say connected systems, which is where we need to be, will benefit. David Skelly will arrive at the curb and go straight to his room. And his room will have exactly, you know, your favorite beer, your New Zealand television channels up on the TV, you know, whatever you particularly like. In your guest room, it will be set that way. And today we can do that with, you know, with an integrated platform, with integrated platforms, which all starts with the PMS, the loyalty system, and of course a guest room management system. And to make that all happen, of course, is your amazing design.
Wow, all gold chocolate in every room. Fantastic. Well, why then is there so much resistance and skepticism about guest room management control systems? We have so much resistance, particularly within the design industry. There seems to be a lack of understanding, or at least a reliance on things that maybe have happened in the past, bad experiences. We're just coincidentally, we're doing a project at the moment where, thank you very much, Mr. Owner, he's building 2 mock-up rooms, one with the old system of the room control unit, right, the RCU, and one using this more higher tech guest room management system using DALI, open bus system. But why, Silvio, is there such resistance when we sometimes raise this in our project meetings?
Yeah, I think it's habits. Old habits are hard to die. Also, a lot of projects fail, and they fail because all that's been looked at is the cost. Now, it's very easy, and I say this, I don't say this lightly, but it's very easy for everyone to comply. But in fact, I don't know how many times I've written a compliance table, and I don't really think anyone everyone really follows that. But at the end of the day, you can comply. However, what makes a project super successful is the know-how of the system integrator and the manufacturer. The manufacturer and the system integrator need to work as a team to deliver the project. And I think this know-how was more difficult in the past. I should say the technology was more difficult to implement. So the project owner would select a certain platform because it was the lowest cost, thinking that it would meet all of the requirements. And then, the mock-ups, by the way, I kind of sort of say, look, anyone can make a mock-up work. And vendor A, I've had situations where I've been one of five, and I've said to the owner, did I switch the light on and off faster than the other guy? And the answer is, there isn't any answer. You can't see anything in a mock-up. My comment to that is really do some due diligence on your manufacturer and the system integrator. Go and visit them. Go and visit some projects that they've done. Really take the time to understand, will they be of value to my property? Are the guys that I'm talking to just, giving me a good price because they want this deal for some reason? But it's more than that. But when you pick the right team, then go and build your mock-up. You don't need to waste time having 5 or 6 different vendors in the room, because I think you don't get a very good result. You do get, if you're looking for different finishes, that's another point. Okay, that I accept. But as far as controls go, take your time to do that. We have failed in the past also because certain manufacturers have not taken the time to evaluate the hardware that's in their devices. Now, we are switching LED lighting, which have a high inrush current, and if those relays can easily burn or stick or be damaged. And some manufacturers haven't taken the time to evaluate that or have used a substandard relay, and that's the first thing that fails. So the project fails and the owner says, I paid all this money and, I can't sell my room. I know of a particular property that on day one of it opening, the manufacturer had gone out of business. The system integrator disappeared. They were playing roulette with checking guests in and out, because they would check a guest into a room and 9 out of 10 times they would have to check them out, move them, to another room. And that room would not work. And eventually they just had a pool of rooms and they were moving inventory around to replace all of the different things. You don't want to have that nightmare. So discussed a lot of things there. It's not a simple answer, but most of the time it's being the wrong system chosen for the application, lack of experience. So my advice is take the time to do your due diligence, just like you would selecting a designer, selecting the manufacturer and the team that's going to deliver your project.
And part of that, I guess, would be also to sign up with an ongoing servicing agreement.
Very, very important. It's not the hardware today. I think everyone makes very good hardware, but having the local support, and also all of these systems do have a software layer today. And it's just like we have maintenance agreements for Microsoft and other tools. Of course, that's another subject where all the software is going to the cloud. But yes, having a manufacturer and a system integrator that can provide on-the-ground support when necessary. Generally, systems, Guestroom management systems, should be super reliable. But things go wrong, and that's when you do need to have that local support.
Well, lots of discussions around Guestroom management systems. We probably have only just touched on the surface.
I think I could keep going for hours, you know that. But I think we've covered today, David, the key points. Lighting is super important for the guest experience, and we've touched energy management and sensors that go with that. Please don't use key card holders anymore. Right? Don't need to. And property management systems, integrations, these are all things that come together. We could have an hour on each one of these subjects. I mean, sometimes I have a slide that talks about the guest journey and how technology touches the guest in every aspect. I could talk for an hour on each box on that. So thank you for inviting me today to share my thoughts, and it's been a good exchange of ideas. And I look forward to working with you and your team and the industry to improve this guest experience and to make sure, as a minimum, that when we switch the lights off, we do go to bed and say goodnight.
Yeah, not all designers would consider technology as a key part of their offering or their service. But I'm convinced that using the right technology actually enhances the quality of the design. It simplifies it, it makes it more sustainable, and it offers, in hotels, it offers a better guest experience. For me, technology is an essential part of design, just as important as the theatrical effects that I make with the lighting. So thank you, Silvio. I've learned lots today. I think we should do this again.
I certainly hope so. I might be a little bit more relaxed on my next one. But thank you again, David, for the opportunity. And I hope our audience, whoever's viewing this, has learned something today. If you want to drill down deeper, want some more information, our contacts will be somewhere down there or up there, wherever they are on the screen. And both David and I are really passionate. I mean, I enjoy working with David because he, like myself, we share this passion for this industry and to do it the right way, and that everyone wins in that.
Yes, so we're putting our contact details down here. Please click on those. We're going to share this on various social media platforms. Thank you very much for listening through. Thank you, and I hope you'll stay tuned. Come again, and cheerio.
Bye-bye. Ciao.